Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, busy one today for the first time all week. I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians and the comedy industry. I always do one last check to see if anything came in between me originally writing the scripts and sitting down to record, and it's a good thing I did, because just in, as I sit down here, Netflix is getting back into business with Louis C.K. answering the question, is anyone truly canceled in comedy? The answer, of course, no. Louis C.K. will headline a show at the Hollywood Bowl as part of the Netflix Is a Joke Festival. C.K. will be there on May 5th, and his upcoming comedy special, Ridiculous, will premiere on Netflix this summer. Now, I feel like he already has a special called Ridiculous, or an album or something. I don't know why that's in my mind. I'm calling up his discography here. Live in Houston, Shameless, Chewed Up, Hilarious. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Live at the Beacon, live at Carnegie Hall, oh my God, live at the Comedy Store, sincerely Louis C.K. and sorry. Well, Louis C.K. is back. You can play the Riyadh Comedy Festival. You can do whatever you want in front of women. People will forgive you, and you will headline a show at the Hollywood Bowl during the Netflix's Joke Comedy Festival. The good news is this will give me something to talk about next week. You may recall Louis C.K. was canceled in 2017. Some women had alleged that Louis C.K. had masturbated in front of them. C.K. admitted to the behavior, saying he believed at the time it had been appropriate because he'd asked first. So that knocked everything down one story. The next two, both pretty sad. Eugene Merman was hospitalized on Tuesday with serious injuries after crashing his car in New Hampshire. The New York Times reported that Merman was pulled out of his burning car after he crashed into a toll plaza in New Hampshire shortly before noon. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Eugene Merman's agent confirmed that his client was in a very scary car accident, but was, quote, grateful to be on the mend. The New York Times reports a state trooper assigned to the security detail of the governor arrived at the scene, saw Eugene Merman trapped inside the burning car. The trooper helped pull Eugene out of the car, which apparently was a 2026 Lucid Gravity type car. I'm not familiar with that. It appears to be an electric SUV. Just picture something you would drive to the supermarket. This is not like a Maserati or anything. It is one of Car and Driver's 10 best SUVs and Esquire's Car of the Year. Colonel Mark B. Hall is the director of the New Hampshire State Police. Colonel Hall called the response to the crash heroic and added, without hesitation, they put themselves in danger to render aid to someone who was in need of it. Hopefully all is well there. Meanwhile, Reggie Watts is working on a GoFundMe to support his late partner. On Wednesday, Reggie Watts shared a post on Instagram reflecting on the loss of Catherine McCullough. Reggie posted, Catherine, I will miss you so much. I know you were in pain, and while I tried everything I could to reflect the light you brought into this world, the sorrow became too much to overcome. You changed my life. You opened up my vulnerability and taught me how to receive love from someone close. We built a life together, went on adventures, and we took our chances together. You had a natural radiance that people could feel from so far away, a light you carried despite the difficult path you walked from childhood. I've been processing so much. I know you can hear me, and I honor the intentionality of your journey. You planned your time in Lima beautifully. The coast, the art, the meal shared with a friend. While so difficult for those of us left behind, I understand your need for peace. So much of you is still around me in the house we shared. I'm so grateful for everything we shared, and I will hold on to the light you gave me forever. Please say hello to my mother. You never got to meet her, but I know she would have been happy to see how kind you were to me. You took care of me in a way I know she always wanted for me. I love you, Catherine. I always will. You're a part of me, as you've always been. Friends including Sarah Silverman, Imogene Heap, Keenan Thompson, and Judd Apatow shared their support for Reggie Watts in the post-comment section. As for the GoFundMe, Reggie explains Kat's family is now in the difficult place of dealing with her loss both emotionally and practically. Her remains must be shipped internationally, which apparently is incredibly expensive. That's why we set up this GoFundMe to help her mother and sister cover those costs, as well as any costs for service in her home state of South Carolina. We ask that you please only give if you're in a comfortable place to do so. Otherwise, Catherine would definitely prefer you go spend $6 on a bag of Argula instead, consumed by the fistful with no dressing. The GoFundMe reads, Kathleen Early McCullough has passed on. She was obviously the sweetest and funniest person that ever walked the earth. She was radiant and enchanting, and only half of that was her hair. In her own words, she hasn't left us, but instead returned to the wholeness of consciousness. She's with us still, and if you're reading this, she probably loved you immensely, unless you were ever mean to her sister Colleen, which would make you a sworn enemy. The GoFundMe had raised $27,000 as I'm reading this. The goal was $30,000. No easy way to segue out of that, so I'll just keep going ahead. Howie Mandel says he now regrets apologizing to Kelly Ripa. We covered that, I think, Sunday and Monday, and I thought the whole thing was weird. Howie has now said, I don't believe in apologizing, but as I said in that post, which I kind of regret making, obviously I told a joke that didn't land well. Comedians always say if you can make one person laugh, you're doing the job, but apparently that's not enough. Not sure what he means here. The quote is, so you liked my joke? I'm reading and there's no stopping it and I don't understand it. And I tried to stop it. I tried to apologize. I agreed with people. I do. Howie said he doesn't know what's going on or when this will end. And I hope it ends soon because I didn't mean to cause any disruption. I didn't mean to embarrass anybody. Nate Bargatze and friends have released a new trailer for The Breadwinner of this movie that I keep staring at it. And all I can keep thinking is, was Kevin James not available? There is a trailer. I don't find it very good. I'll give you a little taste of it here.
Hey, it's Nate Bargatze. Get ready for the dead air because the new Breadwinner trailer starts now.
I think I might really have something.
If doing this makes you happy, you have to go for it.
This is a big opportunity.
I'm going to give you an offer. But Nate, you have to stay home and take care of the kids.
Yeah, I could do that.
Really?
We're all gonna die.
I'm right here.
Bye. I love you guys.
Dad, the door is locked.
There's a window in the back. We'll crawl through that.
Dad, you're going the wrong way.
To your school.
To any of our schools. Do you not know where our schools are? I'm gonna come wrong.
What?
In The Breadwinner, Nate Bargatze is the husband of Katie. Katie's a supermom. Katie, the supermom, lands a deal on Shark Tank, as one does. That means Nate has to become a stay-at-home dad who hilarity ensues. The Breadwinner opens May 29th. That got me curious to see how the Greatest Average American was doing on the TV there. It's averaging around, roughly, your math may vary, 1.6 million viewers. As a comparison, New Scrubs is getting 3 million viewers.
Comedy stock market.
Thank you, Burt Reynolds. Every Friday, we take a look at the comedy stock market. We're not talking about who's good or bad. We're just looking at whose career's got some upside and whose career has some downside. We try and find the value. You know how the stock market works. 10 minutes ago, I had nothing for this week, and I felt bad because I had nothing last week and kept it pretty simple. But now that I've got my new top story for the day, should we just give in? Should we just load up on Louis C.K.? His stock is still well below where it was, and it seems we're welcoming him back to the fold. Why don't we just load up on Louis C.K., and he'll play Netflix, and everyone will pretend he was never canceled, and maybe we can sell a couple days after the festival at a new peak of Louis C.K. value, right? Does that make sense investment-wise? Put all your morals or whatever you think of all this aside. What I'm saying is, at one point, he was being compared to George Carlin. As you listen to me today, he's not being compared to George Carlin, but if he headlines Netflix and there's a Netflix special, Louis C.K.'s back, there's value there. Let's scoop up some Louis C.K. I also don't know what to do with Nate. I think the trailer looks terrible, but there's a lot of people out there that I could see going, oh, this is hilarious, and he does well at the box office. I don't know. Should we sell Nate or should we buy Nate? I'd be curious to know what you guys think. So I think my recommendation for now is just hold. So that's what I have for you this week. I want to do something with Nate. I don't know what. And we should buy some Louis C.K. Quick shout out back to Chris. Chris is one of the listeners who shot me a note on the side, and we were texting the other day. Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for listening. Great to hear from you. This weekend in Anaheim. This sounds pretty fun, which I don't think is proper English, but who cares? It's the Standup Chow Festival, bringing laughs and bites together in Anaheim. At some point, I'm just going to have to give in and move to California like everyone eventually does. I don't know if I'm going to go to the Netflix festival. I looked at it, and the shows I want to see are on the first Monday and Tuesday, and then on the weekend. And if I go to LA for 8 days, that's a lot on, things like my family, the rest of my life, and it ain't free. And it's Los Angeles. So even if I stay somewhere not that awesome, it's still $150 a night, and the flights and the car. And I can't get in touch with anybody at Netflix for some reason. So I don't know if I'm going to go out there for that. I might just cover that from the basement. But if I were out there, you'd find me in Anaheim this weekend at the Stand-Up Chow Festival. Tonight and tomorrow, throughout the Anaheim Packing District, the event aimed at local comedy fans and foodies combines intimate comedy shows and chef-driven dining experiences. It's a partnership with Don't Tell Comedy. The marquee headliner is Adam Ray. The festival begins today with 3 comedy shows accompanied by food and drinks from local food trucks. More shows tomorrow. Participating vendors include The Croft, Urbana Mexican Gastronomy, Pally Wine Company, Peaknik, Stone Groove Stillhouse, Mangal, Randy's Donuts, Mini Monster, The Wooden Pearl, Parfait Paris, and a bunch of other things. They'll offer special menu items, discounts, and curated pairings, exclusive. I like it. We need more of that. And in Melbourne, let's see what's happening in Melbourne. Pulled some clips for you today. Former guest on this program, Nate Valvo. He's performing at the Melbourne Comedy Festival this weekend. Let's listen.
Oh my God, hello. I'm Nate, very happy to be here. Get this, guys. Not long ago, my boyfriend Cody, awful name, great guy, said to me, I'm going to do a triathlon and you have to come and watch and don't be a bitch. That's what he said to me, right? So I was like, I can do that because I'm like really nice. So the first thing he did was find a triathlon group on the internet called the Mountain Goats. And they have that written on the back of their t-shirts, like they're okay with people knowing that. Anyway, they're all counting their steps. You know, people that count steps, we're all dealing with those people, just counting the steps and just counting the steps. I'm in the step club at work, got to hit 10,000, got to hit 10,000. No lift for me today, I'm counting the steps. If you're over 2 years old, no one gives a shit how many steps you took today. You stop counting at 2, you know? And they've all got these watches that they plug into laptops and all these graphs come up. Here's a little rule. The more things your watch can do, the less time people want to spend with you. Put that on a sticker.
Next up, I pulled a clip from Denise Scott. So a lot of these people in Melbourne, you know, I don't know everybody, and that's why I like doing this. I like just clicking on and sharing with you guys and seeing who's out there. Now, I clicked on this, and I was like, why did she release this? It sounds like it's like an empty room, and I'm watching the video, and it is an empty room. And I'm like, the room sounds dead. It sounds half empty. Why would you release this? And then I kept listening and paying attention. Oh, it's from 2020. I don't know if you recall, there was this pandemic, and we all had to stay home for a year and a half. Remember that what happened? So this was during the pandemic when we were all afraid to sit next to each other at comedy clubs. That's why it sounds empty. Anyway, here's Denise Scott.
My kids are both in their 30s now, you know, which means I can't talk about them anymore. Well, that's what their lawyer told me. But no, they are. They're both in their 30s. They live overseas. My son and his girlfriend live in Nashville. They're musos, alt country, you know, which means, you know, they're poor. And my daughter lives in New York. She's a visual artist, which means, you know, she's very, very poor. But they're both, look, they're brilliant artists. I'm very proud of them. People say, do I miss them? And look, put it this way. The last time my son left to go back to America and walk through those departure doors at the airport and they closed, I may or may not have fallen to the ground and screamed, "Come back! Mummy's got nothing left to live for!"
And I like this one from the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. It's Evil Dead the Musical. When 5 college students venture to an abandoned cabin in the woods, they accidentally unleash an evil force that turns them all into demons. Melbourne's iconic Chapel Off Chapel will be transformed into a ramshackle, not-so-demon-proof cabin in the woods, putting you smack bang in the middle of the bloody chaos. Whether you're a diehard horror enthusiast, a musical theater lover, or just someone who enjoys a good laugh, Evil Dead the Musical is a wild ride like nothing you've ever seen. It's part comedy, part carnage, and all parts groovy. And that is your comedy news for today. Normal episodes all weekend. Meet you back here tomorrow.